World Baseball Network Roundtable. I'm David Poley, and we got five guys here giving you our free agency predictions for the MLB. I'm going to go first, and we're going to start with Corbin Burns, the righty ace for the Baltimore Orioles. He enters free agency, but I think he stays right in Baltimore. They have the money to give him. He's a talented pitcher. They have a young offensive lineup that can really, just make sure that they're hitting the crap out of the ball. I think that Corbin Burns and his strikeout prowess really are a fit for Camden Yards. I think that with the new ownership, they can stay with Burns, and Burns can be the anchor of that rotation for the next couple of years. He's going to generate big money, he's going to generate a lot of years, and he's going to be a piece in that rotation for years to come. Moving on, we have Anthony Santander, another Oriole. This time, I don't think he stays home. Santander, I think, is headed to the Kansas City Royals. I think the Royals could use an impact bat like Santander. Consistent power from Santander, switch hitting outfielder. Obviously, not going to give you that much on the defensive side, but he's going to be able to provide an impact back to protect Bobby Witt Jr. The Royals are a young team. They're looking to build on what they just had was an amazing season. They were eliminated by the Yankees in the wild card round, or in the first round, but they were not able to get past anything, and that was because they didn't really have much other than Bobby Witt Jr. Vinny Pasquantino was hurt. I think with Santander in this lineup, he gives them a power bat and gives them opportunity to do more in the playoffs.
Yeah, moving on. Let's jump into it. The biggest name in free agency, Juan Soto. I think there's going to be a lot of speculation. The Dodgers are obviously going to be involved. The Mets, they're ready to go into a bidding war with anyone. But I think in the end, I think Boris and Soto, I think the Yankees will offer enough money for Boris to be satisfied. And I think Soto overall enjoyed his season with the Yankees. I mean, they went to the World Series. They played a stacked Dodgers team. Obviously, we know how that ended. They weren't able to win it all, but I think they're going to re-sign Soto, and I wouldn't put it past the Yankees to really go all in to say. I mean, there's a lot of people that think if they sign Soto, they won't be able to sign other guys. I think they'll find a way to keep Soto around, maybe 13, 14-year deal is what it's projected. Big contract, as we all know. But I don't think it's going to hinder them from adding pieces to maybe get back to the World Series and overcome a team like the Dodgers. So I think in the end, Juan Soto is going to stay in the Bronx for probably the rest of his career, if we're being honest. Moving on, I think, in my opinion, the third biggest free agent on the market this year, Willy Adames. He's made it clear that he wants to stay in Milwaukee, but he's not going to cut himself short on what he's worth. I'm sure the Brewers will try to keep him around, but I think ultimately the Dodgers are going to be the team that swoop in and get him. They have the money. Especially if they don't get Soto, like I think they won't, they're going to have all their resources at their hand available to go and get a premier shortstop. They already said they're going to move Mookie Betts back into the infield. I think that's going to be second base. Give him a partner there up the middle. Adames had a career year in home runs, stolen bases, RBIs, up for the nominee for a Silver Slugger. I think adding him to the Dodgers lineup makes him even scarier. So I think, and it fits. They have a need. Adames is the best available shortstop on the market, so I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, moving on with my predictions. I'm going to start with Blake Snell, the lefty from the Giants. 1 year in San Francisco, was had a very slow start to this past season, but came on really late. He opted out of his contract with the Giants recently. I think he's going to end up with the New York Mets, is what I'm thinking with him. I think if the Mets end up back with Manaea, they're going to add him to the mix as well. They're going to boost up that starting rotation. They're going to be able to compete against some of these tough lineups in the National League that they're going to have to face. And at this point, the Nets are thinking, World Series with how they ended the year. So I think Blake Snell adds to that, and I think he'll be a fine piece to that rotation. My second guy, Teoscar Hernandez, I think he's staying in Los Angeles with the Dodgers. He said he wants to stay in Los Angeles. I think they're going to do everything in their power to keep him there. It's just about, how much they think he's worth, how much he thinks he's worth. But in the end, we know how much the Dodgers can spend, and I think they're going to find a way to spend enough on Teoscar Hernandez to keep him in this lineup in order to go for a back-to-back bid in winning championships.
I want to talk about Jack Flaherty. He was on one of the biggest. He was one of the biggest trade deadline acquisitions and helped them seal that championship. He had some iconic starts over the postseason, helping push the Dodgers ahead in both the World Series and the NLCS. He said how much he loves that place and just doesn't want us to go anywhere else. And I think the Dodgers reward him by bringing him back with a large deal. I'd be pretty surprised if he went anywhere else. Moving on to Pete Alonso, I also think Alonso is going to resign. I think he might have been on his way out, with the Mets looking for a changing of the guard at first base. But with that big postseason hit and those limitless pockets from Steve Cohen, I think the Mets will reward Alonso after delivering one of the most iconic home runs in postseason history. I think that Alonso resigns on a big deal and stays in Queens.
I think Max Fried's going to be a Boston Red Sox. They don't have a lefty or a predominant lefty in their pitching rotation, and he's dominant. And yeah, I mean, the Braves have tried to re-sign him and get him to stay in Atlanta, but those talks haven't seemed to go very well. So I'd be surprised if they were able to bring him back after he, tests the market per se. So yeah, I think Max Fried will be a Boston Red Sox, and I think it'll be a really good addition for the Red Sox because they have to compete with the Orioles and the Yankees, who have just been so good, and the Rays, of course. Sorry, Alfred. I think Alex Bregman's staying in Houston. I know he had that pretty emotional last game in Houston where he got that standing ovation, and the fans were kind of saying, "Hey, I think we know you're gone." But the Astros organization has been pretty upfront in that they're confident in signing him. And I think he's a key piece to this team. And I still think the Astros are a dominant force in the AL. And if they can keep Bregman, they're going to stay right there.
Those are our predictions from World Baseball Network in this roundtable for free agency. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow on all socials to hear about free agency from the World Baseball Network.